right, and welcome to the Aggborough Unfiltered, your unfiltered, your unhinged and unapologetic Harriers podcast. We are your hosts. My name is Adam, this is Liam and Stuart next to me, and we're going to be taking you through the first episode of the Aggborough Unfiltered. And in this first episode, we are looking things like Adam Murray's arrival, Phil Brown's sacking, the 5 new signings, can you believe it, that we've had already, and maybe what needs to change if we are serious about promotion this season. If you love the Aggborough, if you love Kiddie and bold opinions, then this is for you. All you need to do is click subscribe and follow on your favourite podcast channel, and we'll be here most weeks for you. So drop your thoughts into the comments and tag a Harriers friend. And if you've got any questions or thoughts on anything we've got to say, we'd love to hear it as well. But boys, let's get straight into this season highlight for you, Liam.
Well, I'd have to say, lots of people probably wouldn't have thought of this, but I thought the 2-1 win over Halzone was quite important. It was middle of the season, local derby, and a lot of people take these cup games with teams in lower divisions for granted, but there was a big crowd, a lot of away supporters there, playing against an ex-manager as well. It was all built up to be a good occasion. I think it was a tough game, and we managed to come out the other end, which doesn't always happen, as we have been on the other side of this, of course, when we did that FA Cup run a few years back. So it was quite a big moment to win that game, I believe.
Yeah, definitely, and I think it makes it all the sweeter, doesn't it, when you're beating like a close local rival,
yeah, that's right,
and a previous manager. And what made it even sweeter about being Russ is that he was the previous manager, not even a previous. He was literally the previous, before, wasn't he? Yeah. So it was a great occasion all round, wasn't it? What about you, Stu? What was your highlight?
I think there was the 5-1 over Hereford, obviously.
Yeah.
That was a buzz, no doubt about it. As we said, we kind of won the league that day, didn't we?
Yeah.
But we hadn't. It felt like we had, and there was all the celebrating, and before we went to Southport.
It was just intense, wasn't it, as well? Because what it did was it rose. It kind of flooded out of the Aggborough into the town, and then there was this hope that just rose for us as a town, didn't it? And everyone was kind of like getting on the bus to Southport, and there was like, I mean, we ended up taking more fans than they had home fans, and it did them a favour financially, and
which shows what Kiddie can be, isn't it? It's like with good results and a good season, you bring the town with you.
Yeah. It was my kids' first away day, and they just were loving it, and they were just like, in fact, my kids couldn't sleep the night before, they were that excited. So like, we all went. We I would say we had a good time, but we had a terrible time.
It was okay until
the game.
Yeah, that's it.
it was a good burger before the game.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. I also enjoyed the 1-0 win over Scunthorpe. That evening match, which was a buzz. There was a real atmosphere. They brought a lot of fans. They thought they were going to win and walk the league, perhaps, and we beat them 1-0. And then there was fighting on the pitch. There was fighting in the dugouts. And like I say, I'm not a violent person at all, but I was that buzzed. I was like, because you felt it. You could feel the tension, and it left you feeling we're doing something.
Yeah.
It was a good result.
Well, and there was that wonder goal, wasn't there?
At
the same time from Masco. You could even argue that was possibly goal of the season in any league. It was just.
And he said
unreal.
It was a goal.
Yeah, you think it was a cross?
Yeah, for what I could see in the East End, I think it was definitely a cross. I think the way he tried to float it in, I can't imagine that him doing that on purpose, I'm afraid.
I mean, it was class. And Maz, if you're watching, you can do that anytime you want in a Carrier shirt. We would love to have you back at the Aggborough. So hopefully the manager's having a conversation with you in the next few weeks or so.
What about you, Adam?
Well, I think like my highlight this season isn't necessarily just one moment. I think it was the building of the season, in the sense of like the excitement around the club, and to see young fans engaged, like taking my kids to school, and them talking to their friends about the Harriers rather than like Liverpool or Man United or Arsenal and Man City and stuff like that, and being more passionate about their local club. That's something I'm just so excited about. Like my 2 boys have Liverpool kits. They would say they were Liverpool fans, but they halfway through the season stopped really being that interested in it and became more interested in what was going on
great,
here at the Aggborough. And their friend he's a Man City fan. He'd been to a few games this season, and he'd said to his dad, and I saw his dad earlier at the school gates, and he said, "Dad, I don't want to go to Man City. I want to go to the Aggborough."
Excellent.
Like, that's what we want, and for me, that's the season highlight. And if we're to remember anything about Phil Brown, is this, that he actually helped galvanise this club.
That's
again.
right. Yeah. That's
And to be honest with you, Russ did a great job and steadied the ship with Jim and got us over that line. And we had that moment at Brackley where none of us really believed that we should do it or deserved to do it. We did it, got into the National League, probably made some poor decisions at that point, like transfer-wise and whatnot, and too loyal to certain people. Came back down. There was a sense of despair and disappointment. But I have to say, Phil Brown, people just somehow got behind him. And the colour, the atmosphere was brilliant.
Phil Brown's red and white army.
Yeah.
I think we've got to give some plaudits to Richard Lane and the rest of the owners, really, because the Kids for Quid initiative really brought young fans into the game. And it's good to see families having fairly affordable day out, whereas you couldn't do that if you wanted to go to Old Trafford or Anfield. Really, you'd end up having to spend a month's salary in some cases. So it's good that families who are local as well, it's very local community club, has been able to come to the football a lot more often.
Yeah, and you work in a local school, don't you? And I run a local nursery as well, and I've had interactions with people in the club, like people like Paul Biggerstaff, and Paul's saying to me, "Do you want players or management to come in and do assemblies for you?" And you had Caleb come in.
Caleb came in, and he was amazing. And we're a small school, and he was just brilliant. He engaged the kids, he engaged with everyone, and I think it's good because, if he'd come in and he was pretentious and everything else, it would have put people off. But actually, people were still talking about it because he was just a genuinely good guy. And a shame that he's left, of course.
Yeah, definitely.
But we wish him all the best as well.
Yeah, we do,
because he deserves it.
Can I just say one negative thing? I'm not going to say a lot of negative things about our club. One negative thing: we need to sort out some better food in the in the Aggborough. Because I have to say, I did a few away trips last year, and shout out to Buxton. Buxton were one of the best this year for pies, burgers, hot dogs, and drink. They seem to have nailed it. I just think we got to do something a little bit better, especially in that East Stand. Do you think you might be all right in the EVC, but us in the East Stand, we're suffering over there.
It's basic,
at
its best.
All hail the Aggborough pie, eh?
Yes.
But listen, look, there's some good things that have gone, and some players that we loved have not signed. Zach Brown's gone. We've had Caleb, we've already mentioned, has gone. Others are going to be going as well. But we have to look forward to what the season looks like now. And what do you feel at this moment in time with the squad depth, the squad outlook? I mean, we've made these 5 signings from the south, really,
which has been good. It's good to start seeing players come in. They say we've lost. We were left with 4 at the end of the season, or 5, and that it's a base. Then we signed Amari again and Ashley, and then we've seen these new players arrive. Now, what's been good about that is that they are young. They're all 24, 25, and the words that are being used to describe, they're quick, they can use both feet, that sort of thing. That's quite exciting, and I hope we're going to see, good energy, good football. So I'm really excited by those signings.
Yeah, I think it's quite clear as well. Adam Murray's career has been very decisive in the transfer market. He's brought in players that he's played with before, and I'd hazard to say that in his previous club at Eastbourne, I don't think he had the same resources or freedom that he has now. But it's good to see that he's able to build his team around him, and it's quite clear that he knows what he wants, and that's good in a manager.
Yeah, definitely. I think as well, just looking at Adam, he's got some phenomenal experience in other levels as well.
That's right.
We've got to remember he won promotion with Fylde, but then he's gone off and he's coached at Barnsley and helped them get promotion to Championship. He's worked at West Brom. He's then gone from West Brom to Besiktas and worked in a different country and done some stuff over there. Come back over, and sort of reborn himself in Eastbourne, and really, he had almost a similar season to us.
Yeah, that's
One point away from promotion. He's done a phenomenal job there. So, guys, take note of Adam Murray. He's an impressive individual. I actually had the privilege of meeting him this week. I had a bit of time with him, and just to be able to ask him a few questions and just talk to him and just get to know him as a man. And I would say, he's He's very honest. He's genuine. He's authentic.
Great.
And I think that he has got a lot of energy and a lot of passion for this club and this town. And I think like it bodes well that he played for us.
Yeah.
You know,
it's brilliant.
It was only a short
he's not
period,
that far
wasn't it?
away. He's from Derbyshire. Like.
Yeah, I think Derbyshire is where.
I don't think I was the only one who was quite disappointed when Phil Brown left. But in hindsight, with the appointment of Aggborough, it was absolutely the right thing to do. He's bringing passion, new energy, and I think we'll do great things this season.
Definitely, I actually think it's a divine appointment. Yeah. I genuinely believe that. I was gutted when Phil went. We all texted each other like, "Oh, what we're going to do, where we're going to go," and we needed a miracle. I believe we got one in Adam Murray. I think he is like a tremendous human being who's going to lead us really well going forward. So
I mean, I wanted there were players like Zach Brown who I've kind of championed a bit with my friends and family and stuff, and I realised he wasn't, but like, you know, he left, and I'm a bit disappointed. But I was thinking about the team when you think about. So I'm fairly new to the Harriers as a fan, sort of 3 or 4 years really, having moved into the area properly and stuff. And the team has kind of, a lot of those players came with Russ Penn, and they've stayed. And you know, we are where we are, and in some ways it's time for a reshuffle, isn't it? Yeah. And so. Everything comes to an end, but it feels positive.
You know, it's almost got that air of when Jurgen Klopp came into Liverpool. You know, like Brendan had done a good job to a degree, and there were some good players. They got close, didn't they? They won a little trophy, but they hadn't done that. They didn't done it that well, and Kenny had done well before him. And then Jurgen came in, and you know, he had to refresh that squad.
That's right.
And there were some players in there that went, and you were gutted. So, you know, in that period, you saw the end of Steven Gerrard, and you saw the end of your Jamie Carragher's and other big personalities. Coutinho went and stuff like that. Yeah. But through that, it was the rebirth of that squad, and then they went on to win their first Premier League. And look at them now. And so, who knows where this is going to take us as a club? Really, I think it's
absolutely.
You know, we'll pay homage to the players that have gone. Zach Brown, I think we would all agree, he was possibly the most improved player of the season.
I think he improved season on season. I think he was quite lightweight to start. I felt, and but then that changed, and he became a proper stalwart of the team. You know, Caleb's gone, which is a shame, because I think he was consistent. But he'll go on to better things, definitely. Yeah. You know, and others who haven't signed yet or. And
all that does is tremendous for the club, actually. With a player like Caleb, who came in and has built his career around us. It reminds me a bit of Sam Austin. You know, and obviously Sam's a free agent at this moment in time, so
welcome back.
Do you think Mr. Murray's having a conversation, or
I don't know,
Mr. Holdsworth's having a conversation with him?
Maybe. I doubt it.
And I have to say, I think we've been lucky to keep Caleb so long. I think a couple of years back, I wasn't the only one to say, but he's definitely, I'd say, if he's not there yet, he will be one day Football League level.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, without doubt. But, you know, we've kept hold of some good players. We've got Dib still in goal. I don't think at this level you're going to get a better goalkeeper than Dibble.
I think so.
I think that penalty save he made in there.
That noise, and I mean, as much as we lost that game, I haven't heard that noise. At the Aggborough, he saved that penalty. The volume went up, and I thought it's our game. It wasn't, but just things like that. And I think he's a shot stopper, isn't he? Yeah. He is. And none of the players are perfect, but I'm glad he's still here.
Yeah, me too. I'll tell you who is glad. My little boy, my little 4-year-old Angus. He is obsessed with Christian Dibble, so much so that we had to buy him a Leeds United goalkeeper kit because it was the closest pink kit that I could find to the kiddie kit that would fit him. And he walks around. He's also got ginger hair, and he says, "I'm Dibs, I'm Dibs." So Christian Dibble, if you're watching, shout out to Angus, please, in the next football game we come to, because he absolutely loves you, mate.
And I think what's going to be crucial this season, I mean, he often gets slated on social media, but Morgan Smith recently is going to be an absolute great figure. I mean, he's not getting any younger, but and people always say he doesn't score enough goals, but it's not just goals. On the pitch, he is the heart of the team, really. No one has more passion for the team. He's, alongside Heavens, he's Mr. Kidderminster, so I think it's absolutely crucial that he's kept. And he might not play as much as last season because the signings that we've made, but equally, he is absolutely a great character to have around and playing.
Phil Brown left him out one game, didn't he? And said publicly that was a mistake because without him, we were not the same team.
Yeah, it's true. And actually, we all sit in the East Stand.
Yeah.
How many times did we see him last season, especially towards the end? He was getting bullied by other players, and that's probably the wrong term because he's a big, strong guy.
Yeah.
But he was absolutely hounded by 3 or 4, and at times, I think it might have been the Hereford game or the game before that. He was getting smashed and kicked about, and you've seen him hitting the floor, and just the passion and the frustration of the referees
not giving anything to him.
I think what he brings off the ball as well, because he's such a presence. He's often bringing one or two players towards him. And I don't think we'll appreciate the space that leaves other players, especially likes of Maz Kuyar this season. He had a lot of space on that wings at time, and that's due to the players in the middle causing some problems.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sean, as we're on the subject of those players who've re-signed, let's just shout out to Ashley Heavens. What a season!
Yeah,
what a season, Ashley, you had last year. Unbelievable.
Where I sit in the East Stand, there's some guys behind, some of an older persuasion, who constantly, as long as they've been seen from slated Ashley Hemmings, and etc. So for me, him scoring 30-odd goals this season, I just want to go yes.
Yeah.
Because regardless, he does. Again, no player is perfect, are they? And we have not scored enough goals at times. Yeah. But when one player gets 30-odd goals in a season,
4 hat-tricks.
Shout out!
What an unbelievable stat that
amazing.
is. 4 hat-tricks.
So glad he's signed again.
Yeah. Me too. And actually, a lot of people are arguing Ashley's. He's had his best season. Let's get rid of him. He's only 34.
Yeah.
It's actually, in footballing terms nowadays,
and in non-league football,
it's not that old. He can still go on. He's a fit lad. He is a real fit man, and he's got the experience and he cares.
That's right.
I think he stayed because he wants to see us back where we belong.
That Southport game. At the end of the game, they were on their knees and he was on the floor, and you could see that he was. It had got him, and he knew what had happened, and he was desperately upset.
And to be fair to him, he came over to us, didn't he? His fans, we were in that corner bit, and he came. He was one of the ones who stayed, came over, clapped us, and walked off. Shout out to Ashley Hammonds. You did a great job last year. We are so pleased that you've signed for another year. Can we touch on referees from the National League North?
I think the quality is getting worse every year. I mean, our league will always be a league that young referees get a chance to rise. But I mean, some of the decisions this year have been absolutely embarrassing, especially for the linesmen. We got linesmen coming. I understand their assistant or even third and ranked as referees, but you got some linesmen who didn't make a decision all game. I was looking to referee every time. And at that point, why are we paying all the referee fees if we've only got one person making the decisions?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And they're missing decisions, aren't they?
Yeah,
and again, we sit one side of the pitch, we sit in the East Stand, but I think on that side, you see the linesman doesn't even keep up with the game.
That's right. Yeah, I'm convinced. I haven't checked it back, but I'm convinced that Chester goal in the playoff first goal was offside. It might not have been, but that was my first impression, and I don't think the linesman was up with play, so it carried on. And that's it's an issue because I understand, and the people I sit with, we're honest enough to say we got away with one there if the ref hasn't given something against us, but it does always feel like we don't get the rub of the green with officials, and you have a linesman who's got a headset. He can speak to the ref, and they never seem to do that. And some of the decisions are shockingly bad. There have been games this season when the ref has been the problem that's led to the game, players almost losing it and fighting.
And
Because,
I think there's no consistency in the league. Either one week you'd get a referee and you'd book 7 players in the first half, and the next week you'd have challenge after challenge, and nothing would be given. There's no consistency. I think they all need to get together and have a good think.
Yeah, they do. They flipping do. I mean, it's bad when your 3-4-year-old starts shouting Lino, Lino at home. So you must be shouting it too much. In fact, he asked me, "Who does the linesman play for?"
and, not Kidderminster.
No, and my wife said the other team.
Yes.
He plays for the referees in the other team.
Yeah.
They linos, referees, we love you, but you've got to get better this season. We expect a better quality in our league because we're a professional league as well. So we want that to step up. All right, let's look ahead. Manager change, transfers. Adam Murray, what are we saying? Are you Adam Murray in or are you Adam Murray out?
Oh, in.
Yeah,
definitely.
Good. Yeah,
I'm excited.
I think there is. I've not felt this excited about a manager coming in. Like I said earlier, since Jurgen Klopp took over at Liverpool, I think that he's just got something about him. His interview so far, I loved his interview the other day when he was like, "Look, we've offered them fair contracts." He said, "I've been in this league, or we've offered them contracts, but I can't wait forever because the club's more important." That's for me is someone who's like, putting Kiddie Harriers first.
Well, I remember we were at it was an FA Trophy game last season before Phil Brown came, and I remember someone said, "I've heard Phil Brown's coming." I remember going, "No, not a chance." And then Phil Brown came, and Phil Brown, he's been in the Premier League, and it was really kind of wow. We got Phil Brown, and we are where we are. This for me feels more exciting than that. I feel like we've got a younger manager who's played for the club.
Yeah.
Who let's say he's younger. He's keen to progress, and. Yeah, I'm really excited. I think it's more exciting than.
I think with his background, how he speaks as well, it's quite clear that he's getting to know the town very quickly, and that's what we need really. Kidderminster Harriers is a local community club, and we've spoken before about how players have gone to schools, etc. So it is great to play well on the pitch, but equally it feels like Adam Murray is the sort of person that will build something in the town.
Yeah, definitely. And he's a man of. I think he's a man of integrity. So he stands fair by his word as well. So
that's good.
He's a man of conviction, a man of integrity, and he's got a plan. He said he's a planner. He said that in his interviews. I'm a planner. When I had a bit of a chat with him, he said I'm a planner and meticulous. I think that's all going to hold us in good stead.
Definitely.
I think we need people like that. There was times last season where I felt that we didn't have a plan B.
Yeah, that's right.
And at that point we ran out. I think that he will have plan A, B and C, if not D and E and F going on here as well. And I think like when we look at the signings, we don't necessarily know a lot about those National League South players.
No.
But he does. He's obviously seen something in those players to say they're going to make a difference here.
Yeah, that's right. It feels that he's got the 2 from Eastbourne that have come with him effectively. That he obviously likes. We've got the long throw as well, which would be excellent. But then I think he's clearly looking at the other players and recognising what they brought to the teams they were in and how they will work for him in this situation. So it's good, and I guess there'll have to be other signings as well because
hopefully,
we need some depth.
And what do you guys think of the fact that he hasn't appointed an assistant manager? Is he going to appoint someone, or is he going to save the money and possibly get an extra player in?
Who knows? I mean, like I don't even know if he had an assistant manager at.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
At Eastbourne, it's not something I asked him or I've even thought about. I mean, there is that rumour that the guy from Stourbridge, there's stuff
Liam
going on there,
McDonald,
that he might come in under him. I don't know. I don't even know if they know each other. I don't think he's played around with the backroom staff that we've got too much, other than Neil McDonald going with Phil because they're a partnership. I think that we've still got Dan as the one of the coaches, and I think we've got a couple of the other guys that are still here.
And that's around. Consistency. That's a good thing, isn't it? That's a good thing.
It really is. And Dad Ludlow's a good guy, and he came in with your Russ and your Jims, and so he's gone through the process, and we need consistency in places, and change is good, but too much change can disrupt too much.
Absolutely.
So for me, who knows? What do you think, Liam? Do you think we will? Or do you hope he will?
I think he will. It's always nice to have an extra voice in the dressing room. And I think, especially in non-league, the coaching teams are so small. The manager, assistant manager, are coaches alongside managers and loads of different roles. So I think there's a lot to be said about having an assistant manager.
Definitely, and he's been an assistant, hasn't he? Assistant manager,
exactly.
So he'll know the strength of that and how to lean upon that.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if there are many managers who don't have an assistant. So. I can imagine we will get somebody. He will appoint somebody.
But I do think he's clearly has a style of football he wants to play. So I think it's key that he gets somebody in who will follow him and execute what he's doing.
That's right.
If you could sign one player into this team this year, you could have anybody. Budgets unlimited.
Mo Salah.
Oh, Salah. Okay. No, go on. Is there anybody that you think? Yeah, I'd like to see them come to the club.
Well, I'd love to see Kyle Morrison sign. I think he's been twice now, effectively, and both times been effective, been solid. Changed this season towards the end. We were fading. Unfortunately, I heard somebody was saying the other day. It seems, I think it was a comment on Facebook, that it seems like he comes to Kiddie to get another contract somewhere else. I hope that's not the case, and I'd like to think not. And I think he's fairly local. I'd love him to sign. Please sign.
It made a big difference. I actually think, him and Dave Worrell were a changing point for Phil Brown.
Yes, yeah.
I think you could probably argue that Carl Morrison was more impactful than Dave Worrell. I think he used Dave Worrell over Joe Fuchs, and I think when Joe got injured, Dave was a useful person to have in the team.
Yeah.
But if you were going to pick the one out of the other who was the most influential, I think we would all go with Carl Morrison.
That's right. Yeah.
And I think it's worth noting we've spoken a lot about our attack this evening, but our defence this season, I think, double broke the club record for the most clean sheets, and that has to go in part to defenders as well. Yeah. The amount of counter attacks that Caleb Richards saved us from this season, and the most of the season you couldn't really fault the defence.
No. And we missed Alex Penny, and I think if Alex Penny can get himself fit, and is he signed? I can't remember if he's signed.
He's on the books.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he is. Yeah. So Alex Penny is a strong, fit lad. He's big and he's quick.
When he goes forward, you feel it, don't you?
It's like Trent Alexander pace to him, isn't he? And actually, if he can take on board what Adam's going to coach into him, because I think that for me is another big difference between possibly like your Phil Browns, who of the old school, and your Adam Murray's, who's a bit more modern. He will coach them. Whereas Phil Brown, we stood on the sidelines at Russell, weren't we? And we kind of looked, and we both said. We all said, what do you reckon Phil Brown's role actually is here? Because you had Neil McDonald doing a drill with him, you had the goalkeeping coach doing something with him, and then you had Dan Ludlow doing something with him, but Phil Brown was just wandering around, and at some point he was having a coffee and coming over to us and chatting about the
That's
pies.
right, yes,
so,
and
we didn't play particularly brilliant at Russell, but it is a wonder, isn't it, sometimes, where was his skill set? Because often he would say in his interviews, and I think this is possibly what let him down at times, was like, I don't need to manage that dressing room, it managing itself. Well, actually you do, because this is what you're being paid for.
That's
mate.
right. I think I got what he was saying.
Yeah.
But I hope that he wasn't too distant, and maybe he was, because as you say, we saw that, at Russell, he was playing keep up with the ball and stuff, and I was thinking like, what is your role in this? Like, what have you decided that makes this your team? But I'm not, overall knocking him per se. But I'd like to see the videos I've seen of Adam and stuff. I'd like to see him more, manager more involved with the team. Yeah. Putting his ideas in, as Liam said, and let's see a team moulded around the manager. That you say this is an Adam Murray team.
That's right. So we're all behind you, Adam. We're all excited for this season, for what's coming up. We Delighted. We've got the pre-seasons, the 4 pre-season games. I'm actually away the first 2. Can you believe it? I'm actually the first one. I'm literally flying out to Spain that day, so I'm missing those.
It's not an
first
excuse,
2.
really.
No, it's no excuse. I probably will be catching up on the radio on my phone and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But those 2 home games, they're going to be tasty. We've got Hell's Owen for the first one, which is going to be great.
Yeah.
How do you feel about those pre-seasons?
They're good, aren't they? I think in the past we have had, we've had a Liverpool or a Man United under 21s and all that sort of thing, but these are all fairly local teams. That you get an idea. It's just a warm up, isn't it? But it's good to have local because those teams, if they're lower, they've got a point to prove and they want it. So. Yeah,
I'm always quite cautious of pre-season friendlies, really, because there's not much on the games. So sometimes you see some players doing better, some not so good. Like for example, a few teams about Tomo and Evans, he probably had the best pre-season that season he was here, and then bar the Herb the game, he didn't turn up all season. So I think it's good to get an eye on the team, but I don't think we could give too much credit to it. I think as soon as the first ball is kicked in this in the league season, I think we'll get a true reflection of what Adam is building.
Yeah, and I think we've got to also just be fair to Adam and say, look, if it doesn't pop off because we can all get really excited and jump around and go, it's going to happen. It could take a few games.
10 games in.
And if we're mid-table, listen, I want to say let's just stick with the plan because
absolutely.
I think there is a plan here.
Yeah.
And I think that he's got a plan, and I like that, and I don't think he's going to shift on that. When I had a chat with him, he was kind of like, I've got my plan. I want to stick to it. This is what I'm like. And listen, it worked at Eastbourne. It worked at Fylde, so he's done it in both leagues. And we have to look at that. He won promotion before with Fylde.
Yeah.
He nearly won promotion by 1 point from Eastbourne in a season and a half, effectively.
Yes.
And you can't take that season at Eastbourne in isolation. I think you have to look at the stresses and the strains on him as a human being. His family were up in Derbyshire. And he's travelling back and forth.
That's a long way.
Yeah, his community. He's a man of faith, and so he comes home to his community up there, and so every week travelling that back and forth and around, and there being that pressure away from a young family.
That's right.
And then leading the club from a state that it was in to where he's left it. I think that listen, I'm excited about the season ahead. So, boys, let me just ask you, as we come into land, as we kind of close this first episode, what can people expect from us over the next few weeks, months, and as we go on this journey this season ahead? What are you looking forward to?
Well, I think non-league podcasts are great, really, because the Premier League and the Championship and other levels seem to dominate media, and it's going to be great to get guests on here and see who actually is at the heartbeat of the club, really. Coaches, volunteers. It's just a new perspective, really, and for us guys, we're gonna have great fun doing it.
Absolutely, just to be able to talk about the football. I think the problem is this is probably I know that the women's is it Euros or World Cup?
Yeah,
coming up, which is I'll watch that when it's on telly. But in the teams that we follow, etc., it's going to be a quiet summer, and so to be able to talk about the football is good.
Yeah, it is.
And I think I'm not an expert, and I've got my views on what I see. And it's just good to be able to chat. And what I'd really love is for people to send in their questions and thoughts. And in the future we'll have people in and.
Yeah, I think you've nailed it. I think this isn't going to work unless you can sit and listen or watch 3 blokes chat about their football team. Or you can also engage in it too, and we would love you to engage in it. The best way you can do that is you can drop us an email. The link will be in the description of this video. You can drop us a comment. You can send us a DM. One of us will come back to you. But your comments, your likes, your questions, we will take on board and we will include them in the episodes as we go along. We do want to take a massive shout out to Kidderminster Harriers women's team as well.
Yes.
And in our next episode, we will be highlighting what a season those girls have had. Incredible season. As men, we may have faltered and depleted out at the end, but women, you have ended again. What a strength, and we are so proud of you girls.
Absolutely.
And it gives us something to cheer about as a football team and as a town as well. You may not feel the backing of the entire town like the men do at times, but I want you to know that people are talking about how well you've done, and we're really, really proud of you.
Exciting.
So this is all about the Aggborough Unfiltered. It's not about just the men's Unfiltered, it's the Aggborough and girls, you're part of that. The kids teams, you're part of it. Nick and the community team, you're part of it.
I think one of those games at the end of the season when they all walk around the pitch.
Yeah,
I think that was a thing to see. You know, like who knows? Some of those kids might be kiddie stars of the future.
Massively.
And it's just great to see young people engaging with sport. For keeps them fit, keeps them active, socially, etc. And let's hope that from kiddie youth, we get some players that we can cheer on. And
we want to see the next Amari Morgan Smith, don't we?
Absolutely.
School gates,
yeah.
Anyway, listen, thank you so much for joining us. If you've got this far, we appreciate it. Stick with us over the coming season. We can't wait to reveal some more content to you. As we say on the terrace, up the Harriers.
Up the Harriers.
Come on, you Reds.